Hey everybody, it's Roxanne from Champion of My Heart, and today we're going to do something a little different in conjunction with my Sweetie's e-bike channel. So I now have, thanks to him, a Juiced Rip Current S, which is a 1,000-watt hub drive e-bike with fat tires. This is the battery. All the controls are up here. And he bought it for me on sale back like 4th of July weekend. They're normally, I wrote this down, normally like $2,400 in there. And they were on sale for $1,499 or $1,500. And so that's how I got my e-bike, is my Sweetie found one on sale. Now the challenge for me is I'm barely 5'1". And so it's hard to find bikes at all, let alone e-bikes, that fit someone my size. And so you'll notice that we have the seat down pretty much all the way. And that's pretty much the only way that I can touch the ground. So here, let me show you. Let me toss that out of the way there. Let me show you. So the only way I can do this, big swing, and you'll see I have to be on my toes, and I barely clear the bar there. But when I sit back, if I'm on the seat, you can see also I can barely touch the ground there, which isn't bad. The only time it really throws me is or I find it difficult is when I stop. Sometimes these bikes are very heavy, and so I have to be careful to, stop and then, slide off the seat and get one foot down so that the bike doesn't, tip for me. So it's a little, honestly, I wish it was a tiny bit smaller than it is, but it's surprising. It's surprisingly easy to ride. It takes a little getting used to when you first take off. The power of having pedal assist with a torque sensor, not a cadence sensor, so the harder I pedal, the more power it gives me. So when you first take off, that's a little weird. It takes a while to get used to that oomph when you first go. But really, once you're pedaling, it feels nice to have a little bit of help, and so I'm able to do a lot of rides that I normally wouldn't be able to do on my typical mountain bike. So I just wanted to show you what I'm doing now with some of my downtime. I can't think of anything else. It has a headlight, it has a little tail light. I had my Sweetie add a mirror because I like being able to see behind me, particularly when I'm riding on, on a road. And even on a trail, I like to know if there's something coming up behind me. This does have a throttle, but you'll see, let me find where is it? It's actually, we have it disconnected because I would never want to use a throttle. I prefer to pedal. And I also don't particularly like the throttle. It's a thumb throttle here on the left, and it would be so easy for me to bump it and, suddenly have a bunch of power and potentially, crash or fall over or something. So we have the throttle disconnected. For me, I just prefer it that way, and then I can ride it on more trails because bikes with throttles tend to be limited on where they can ride on some bike trails, stuff like that. So they have disc brakes, which is really cool. I've never had that before. And I have front suspension but not rear suspension, and so I do get bounced around a little bit, but the big tires make a big difference on that. I also wanted to mention a couple things. I've ridden close to 200 miles now on the Juiced Rip Current S e-bike that my Sweetie got me. And I will say that one day, when we were riding the loop that we typically do, which is we go out this way, down through the neighborhood, through open space that's back behind us, and then we come out on a really steep mountain road that's just over there. I don't even like to drive that road, But with the e-bike, I can ride up it, pretty easily, which I normally wouldn't be able to do. And but my battery died one day when we were coming up that steep road. And for comparison, my traditional mountain bike is about 30 some pounds. This one is like 65 with the big tires and the battery and everything. And it's difficult to, manage that weight without the pedal assist. And so at first I didn't realize that's what had happened, because on the little screen up here, I could see I had like 4 bars or something, and then all of a sudden I only had 1 bar, and it was getting, really hard to pedal. And then I realized, I was like, oh geez, my battery's dying, and I just kept going. And what's interesting is it not only didn't feel like I had help, right, like I no longer had pedal assist, but it also felt almost like the bike was working against me, adding resistance. And so I will tell you, I'm very proud. I actually did ride all the way up a very steep road without any help, without any pedal assist. And it was not pretty, and I was not happy about it, but I did it. So if you get in a bind, the bike runs out of battery, you can, right, like you have options. You can just keep going and hope for the best. But it was not super, super fun. I'm trying to think what else I wanted to remember to tell you. They have kind of these flat, ergonomic handlebars rather than just completely round. They're a little bit flat up here. And I kind of like that because I tend to, like grip too much, have my shoulders up too high, and then particularly my right hand, because of all the typing I do, like falls asleep, which is no fun. You don't want a numb hand while you're trying to ride. So I do really like that. I do like that it has fenders. I do like that it comes with a rack. Tom, my sweetie, jokes that I'm like our little pack mule, and so I have the panniers, and I, carry some things for us when we ride together and all that. So I'll also put a couple links down below. We rode Vail Pass on the Continental Divide in Colorado, I don't know, maybe a month or so ago. And that's absolutely a ride I wouldn't necessarily be able to do on a typical bike. It's a beautiful paved path. And then when we got to the top, we actually went up on a dirt road and rode Shrine Pass as well, which is more of a dirt road, and then came all the way back. And it was super fun. On the bike. We went early. It was after peak leaf season, but still the weather was really nice, and so we got up really early one morning and rode. And so we saw almost no one all the way up. We saw a couple of runners near the trailhead down in Frisco, Colorado, that were just coming down as we were going up. But otherwise, we got all the way to the top and didn't see anybody else. We froze our butts off in the Frisco Valley in the shadows. It was very cold. But once we got out in the sun, you'll see, I'll link in the video, you'll see my little hand go up when we finally get out in the sun, because I'm so thankful that we're warm again. And then the other thing, we rode through some snow going up that. And again, you'll see my little fist of victory go up. And that is when I was happy that we were through the snow. So riding through snow going up was fine as long as you're super steady. Coming down, we actually got off our bikes and walked them down because it's just safer than coming downhill, like pretty steep downhill on snow and ice, so we didn't do that. The bike does have a walk mode, so if for whatever reason you're on something and you just can't make it up, you can hold down the minus sign where you shift from how much pedal assist that you want, and it kind of gives it a little bit of oomph, and so you can walk and push the bike, over terrain if you need to, without having to manage all that extra weight yourself. So I like that about it as well. I've only had to use that a couple of times. For the most part, I've been pretty good about, we're not going on super, super hard rides yet, but, pretty steep, and I do okay. So I think that's it. The only other thing that's kind of a bummer, and I won't undo it now and show you and all that, but I am not strong enough to click the battery into place. There's a little key here, and you have to, have the key, and then you set the battery in place, and you have to push it like that way to get it to snap. And even with this handle up here, even if I'm on the other side, like pulling really hard and all that, so far I've only successfully snapped it into place a couple of times, so my sweetie has to do that for me for the most part. We're hoping that maybe over time it'll loosen up a little bit and I'll be able to do it, but I'm not able to do that myself. It's just a little bit, I don't know, it's just too hard for my small hands to push them. But what's nice about it is with the key, you have to use the key to get the battery off to turn it on. And so what's nice about that is if you turn the bike off, like say I was going to lock it up somewhere, like ride in town or something and lock it up while we had lunch or something, it's protected. People wouldn't be able to turn on the pedal assist. Could they still cut the chain or something? Could they still, steal the bike? Probably. But it wouldn't have without the key and without the battery turned on, it wouldn't have the pedal assist and all that. So it would be a little difficult. But I don't know. I'm really enjoying it. And I've ridden, for those of you that don't know, I've ridden bikes a lot in my adult life. My sweetie and I did a Century once on a mountain bike tandem. I used to mountain bike a lot, used to road bike a lot more until it got not as safe, to ride on the road. It's pretty dangerous, and so I prefer to be on back trails now, or Jeep roads, or actual bike trails. So anyway, if you're thinking about getting an e-bike, check out my sweetie's channel and learn what you can from him. He's very smart about this stuff.